We're not thinking about when did I eat my last meal? Have I been outside once today? Am I super stressed out when I'm eating? And those are a lot of the times even bigger than what we're actually eating. If you feel like you're that person that feels pregnant after you eat a meal or just even like drinking water, you're definitely not alone. It's really, really common, but it's not normal.
Bloating is something that I struggled with, you guys. Oh my God, so bad. I can remember growing up and always looking 6 months pregnant. Definitely not something you have to live with. And there's kind of like different layers to bloating. Our bodies are not at the same level as our food industry. And so our bodies are not used to all of these random foods that are ultra processed. And so it's like foreign territory. So it does lead to gas and bloating.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today, we're going to be talking about bloating, something that impacts a lot of people, but there are usually very simple solutions that we can implement in order to get through it. So, if you feel like you're that person that feels pregnant after you eat a meal or just even like drinking water, you're definitely not alone. Like I said, it's really, really common, but it's not normal. So, we're going to talk about different kinds of bloating, what actually might be causing it, and then whether that's stress and circadian rhythm to gut imbalances, and then tools that we can actually implement in order to fix it instead of just masking it. So, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we go into it, it's just Lacey and I here today. Kira's still recovering from le bebe. I don't know if this episode will come out before or after her pregnancy episode. It depends when she's ready to kind of get on here and start talking. But so it's just us, but
It's
we're very
just
excited for her to
us.
talk about it.
Yes, you
Little
guys, her
baby Jake.
story is crazy. And yeah, we have a new team member, new family member, little baby Jake, and he's so cute and he's so precious. And just so
He's
happy that
so
everything
cute.
went good and everyone is healthy and happy. So
Were you
that's
surprised it was a
exciting.
boy?
I was honestly so torn the whole entire time because Kira wanted a girl. But all of her, like, spiritual experiences were telling her that it was gonna be a boy, and so I kinda went back and forth, but I did guess that it was gonna be a girl. That was my final decision, but I wasn't really surprised, I think, like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Well, yeah, we knew that," and then I'll let her tell this story, but she went and got a Reiki session, like, I think the day her water broke, and they said something that was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a boy," but I'll let her tell the story because it's really cool, but so crazy, but yeah, so exciting and just so happy for her, and she's just living it up right now, loving every moment of it, so it's exciting, but
Yeah, she just seems so, like, at peace. It's so
yeah,
nice to see.
yeah,
So,
so exciting. So that's awesome,
now
and
the
then
postpartum journey, so she's gonna have so much good information for everyone on that side of the journey too.
yes, yes, and obviously she was, like, in a super healthy spot. That's kinda where she had to get to be able to conceive and to do the whole pregnancy, but it's gonna be cool to kinda see how her postpartum reflects all of that work that she did because our belief is it shouldn't really suck as much as it sucks for a lot of people, and it's usually comes from a place of low minerals and shitty circadian rhythm, so
Yeah,
I'm excited just
seriously.
to see how she feels, and obviously, there's so many variables that we'll never really know, but
I know. I wish you could just, like, know for sure, but that's what it is, but there's so many things, like, I was just talking to Lacey before we got started. I was sick last week, and I've been hearing so many people, like, getting sick, and it's lasting, like, 2 weeks, and I was like, "Oh my god, I seriously can't be sick for the next 2 weeks." And I got over it in, like, a day, and all I didn't take any, like, Tylenol, and usually, like, I honestly, if I need to get work done, I'll take a Tylenol, like, cold and sinus if I need to just, like, get through it, and I was like, "I'm just gonna push through it, see if my immune system can fight it off." And sure enough, within, like, the next day, I was like, "Okay, I can get back to work now. I don't feel, like, amazing, but I'm good." And same thing, I'm like, it has to be all of the work that we've done, and, like, I took the vitamin C, I took the zinc, I did all of the kinda, like, natural remedies. I was, like, slamming electrolytes, and then obviously my mineral levels being where they're at before, and then my gut health with most of your immune system being in your gut health, like, it's not a coincidence, you know what I mean? But people just, like, when you tell them that, they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure, it was just one of those. I had a different kinda cold." I'm like, "Okay." Okay, okay, sure.
It's true though. So
I
hopefully
know.
we'll just keep proving that to be true.
Yeah, exactly, knock on wood.
But that's
But
good that
you
you got
were
over it.
in Costa Rica, you came back a little bit earlier than expected. Wanna give
Yes,
us a
we
little bit of an
did.
update?
So I'm home. I wasn't supposed to be home until it's November 5th when we're recording this. Yeah, I was supposed to be home November 9th. We came home on November 1st. So we came home like a week and a half early. But honestly, you guys, I hate to even say this, but that was like the worst trip I've ever been on.
Oh my god, I
And
can't.
it literally makes me so sad because prior to this, Costa Rica was like my top favorite place ever. Like when anytime I tell anyone about that trip, I was like, it's the most beautiful place in the world. That totally changed me. It was like the first trip I went on as like an entrepreneur with my business solo, and I was
Solo.
there for like 5 weeks, and I just, like, met the most amazing people, had the most amazing time, like, I, like, had a spiritual experience, like, in the middle of the forest by myself, like, it was just insane, and then I'm, like, talking it up to Zach, and we go there, and not that it had anything really to do with Costa Rica, why it sucked, but 1, we did go in the worst month that you possibly can in terms of, like, rainy season. We did know that. That wasn't a surprise, but that obviously puts a damper on things, and then I'm not sure if you guys seen my post, but we did get robbed on the beach one day, so it was super early, and we just wanted to I wanted to go get Zach to take my pictures with our camera on the beach, and so we drove like 20 minutes to this really, really nice beach that was like fully sand, like so many palm trees. It was just beautiful. And we were taking some pictures in like the palm trees first that were kind of on the edge of the beach. And then we went down like closer to the water. And Zach, of course, and just brings his backpack everywhere because he just has to have all of his stuff in his backpack and be organized all the time. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And we honestly didn't think anything of it because it was like 8:30 in the morning. There was like one couple on the beach, and we put the backpack like 50 feet behind the couple. And we didn't even think anything of it as like this sketchy. Is this not sketchy? We don't know. We just didn't even think about it. And then we kind of walked towards the beach. We maybe at most got 50 feet away from the backpack. And we can tell because of the camera, we can see where when we took like the first picture and when we took the last picture. And we were only at the beach for 10 minutes. And in that time, someone came and stole our backpack. And it's actually really funny because when we first started taking pictures, we were Zach was facing the backpack with the camera and my back was to the backpack. And so in the pictures, you can like zoom in and you can see like the little backpack on the thing. And then we turn the opposite way for 2 minutes, and we take a whole bunch of pictures, and then we turn back the other way, and then you can zoom in and the backpack is gone. So,
Those
for
little
sure, this
fuckers.
guy was just, like, hiding out in the trees watching us, and then as soon as we turned our backs, he ran up to the log, grabbed the backpack, and just darted because afterwards, once we, like, started walking back, and Zach's like, "I think the backpack's gone." I'm like, "There's no way it's gone, like, I don't think you put it there," but he's like, "No, my sandals are there, like, that's definitely where I put it." And so we just started, like, kind of frantically walking around and we're like, what do we do? Because in that backpack was Zach's passport, Zach's wallet, my wallet, Zach's passport, the keys to our Airbnb, and the keys to our rental car. And so we're stranded in the middle of nowhere. There's like one couple on the beach. And I'm like, and Zach's like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, we got to start walking back. And I'm like, we need to talk to someone. We need to ask for help. Like, we can't just raw dog this. We have no way to get into our apartment once we get there. Like, there's no way in. And so
Oh my
we
god.
go up, we start talking to the couple, they speak man, so it was a man and his wife, the guy speaks like a tiny, tiny bit of English. So Zach explains what happened and he says, "Oh, I actually seen like a guy like running off the beach." And so he's like, "That must have been him with it." And
Yeah.
we're like, "Yeah, obviously." And he's like, "Yeah, because it seemed kind of sketchy, but I just didn't think much of it." And so then he starts helping Zach. They like call the police come down, and then Zach's like, "Well, why don't you stay with him and I'm gonna go, like, walk up just to see if he maybe, like, ditched the backpack after he, like, got the wallets or whatever," because obviously you don't wanna be caught with someone's passport, so that's what a lot of times will happen is people will just ditch the bag or ditch the passports or whatever, and that's really what we cared about was the passports. It's like, "Whatever, take the money and our wallets and everything that we need, but just give us the passports." But then Zach needed to stay because the, like, police needed all of Zach's information because it wasn't my stuff, and I'm not on the rental car and everything like that, so we had to call these people, so I was like, "Well, I'll just walk." But in the backpack was also my shoes and my clothes, so I'm in this, like, tiny thong bikini, and I'm wearing Zach's, like, big sandals, and I'm just, like, walking down the road and, like, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but my famous line is like, "I always lose my wallet," or my worst trait is that I always lose my wallet, but my best trait is that I always get it back. So I'm just, like, walking down the street, I'm like, "I'm gonna get it back. I always get it back. Everything always works out for me." I'm just, like, so positive, walking, like, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden I see, like, way on the distance in the beach, like, this black backpack that's, like, completely opened, like, on this thing, and I'm like and I'm literally in that moment, I'm like, "I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna find it." I'm like, "Oh my god, I found it." And I, like, run up to it. No, it
This
wasn't
feeling
locked.
would suck.
Oh, it was the worst thing because you know that feeling, you're like, "Yes, I got it, I'm gonna walk back there." And then I open it, there's, like, 2 shitty old water bottles, and I'm like, "Okay, so that's not ours." So I keep walking, and then that's also my toxic trait is I was so certain I was gonna find it that I didn't wanna turn around. I was like, "I'm gonna just keep going." So I'm, like, 40 minutes in, I'm just sweating. Every single guy that passes me is just, like, calling out their window, honking their horns. I'm just, like, walking down the road in my
And
freaking
even that is, like, so dangerous, like, that
it's
just
so
stresses me
scary.
out.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. And so, finally, I, like, turn around, and then I see Zach, he's, like, running up to me, and so he's like, "We need to run back," because the girl was gonna try to do, like, find my phone, because at that point, my phone was locked in the car, but it was under the clothes, and we weren't 100% sure that I left it in the car. I thought I did, but Zach thought he grabbed my phone because he was gonna hotspot off me so he could use his phone. So he's like, "I think I had it in your backpack." So he didn't know where my phone was. And so he's like, "The girl wants to do find your phone on her phone." And so then we had to run all the way back, and then the police were waiting there for us. So I just ran like a 25 minutes in the blaring heat in my thong bikini, just my I can just picture it. I can just picture it.
And
I'm
Zach's
just like, "Oh
shoes.
my," and Zach's shoes, and he's bare feet in no clothes either. And then we get back there, but now in today's world, like, everything has two-factor authentication, and so I can't get into anything, and, like, I've been hacked so many times in the last, like, 6 months that we've changed my password so many times that I'm, like, just guessing. I don't know what my passport is, and, like so we can't get into that, and so we don't know if my phone's in the car, but I'm pretty certain it is. And so finally, the police are just like, "You'll have to go file a report tomorrow." And so we ask the people, we, like, hitch a ride back to our Airbnb, and they just drop us off there, and we're, like, hopeful. I, like, take a picture of their phone number on their phone with our camera because that's really the only way we can, like, take their information. And then Zach there was, like, a hidden door in the back of our Airbnb that we didn't even know that was there that was unlocked, so we got back into our Airbnb, thank God, and then we had our access to our laptop, so I did find my phone, seeing that it was in the car, like, 20 minutes away, we're like,
Oh my
"Okay."
god, that must have been such a relief.
Oh, it was such a relief, and then we call the or we email the car rental place, tell them what happened, and then they're like, "Okay, we're gonna send a guy there. He'll be there in like 9 hours, and it's gonna be $1,000 USD." So we're like, "Okay, great." So he's gonna bring us a new car key. So then we just sat at the Airbnb for that whole entire day with no phones, no money, no car, no nothing. And then at like 9 o'clock that night, the people show up with our car, offer to drive us back to our car. And then he offers us to drive us back to the car, but at this point, we didn't even know the car was gonna be there because the guy had the keys to the car, and it's like this beach in the middle of nowhere, so I'm like, if he went back as soon as it turned dark at 6 o'clock and seen 1 car that was left there, like, he obviously knows he has the keys to it, so we didn't even know if it was gonna be there, but luckily it was. We get the car, my phone's in it, we're like, "Thank God," and then so then after that
Wait,
happened
I actually have a question. So, could you get on to Find My I could you see where the guy was, like, with Zach's Find My iPhone or
No, because Zach had no he didn't have his Wi-Fi or his LTE or anything turned on, so it was in airplane mode, so nothing was showing up, but we were trying to be like, "Well, if he turns the phone on or gets into the phone, well, it might show up, but if he doesn't, and if he just, like, wipes it, if he knows what he's doing, then we won't know it." So, no, we didn't have anything like that, which is so
Oh,
annoying.
fuck, and of
I know.
course, it was, like, his phone that got stolen that didn't have Find My iPhone, and,
I
like,
know.
oh my
Well,
god.
and it's just too, like, Zach is such a leader and he just like takes care of me so good and I'm always like the disorganized stuff, losing stuff for him to be like in this vulnerable position where he has like no identification, no money, no phone, no car, like it is like very hard for him and then he like very rarely stresses out about anything but like he was stressing and I'm like it
Oh
was
my god, I
honestly a
can
little
only
bit
imagine.
nice to be honest because I'm like okay honey we need to do this, we need to do this, I'm organized like and I was just trying to keep vibes high as he's, like, panicking. And so then, yeah, we pretty much had to leave where we were staying, and we had to drive for it ended up being a 6-hour drive because the road was flooding in the pouring down rain the following day to a bigger city where we were gonna try to get Zach, like, a temporary passport. And so that really gave us a good taste of, like, navigating a situation in a third world country that wasn't ideal because we go to the city and this is like, where we were is, like, beach town, there's lots of people from, like, North America there, most of the people in the store speak English, but now we're in this, like, big city, you cannot go out after dark, it's so dangerous, and no one speaks a lick of English, and you're just, like people are, like, coming on, like, knocking on our doors, and we're just like, "No, we don't have any money, we literally do not have anything, we promise." And so where we Zach had made an appointment to get his passport, and we had to be, like, 10 minutes early or whatever, they were gonna cancel the appointment, and so we drive to the place where our Google Maps said it was, and it, like, turns out to be, like, a graveyard, and we're like, "Hey, this isn't it," so then we find a different location, we pull up there, I, like, drop Zach off, and again, he doesn't have a phone, so it's like I drop him off, and I'm like, "I'll be in the
Hope to see
nearest
you
parking
soon.
lot, and hopefully you find me." And I drop him off, and I just had this I'm like, "Just wait, like, 5 minutes, Lacey," and I'm, like, so happy I did because 5 minutes later, he's like, "This is the wrong building, we're not even close." And so now we're, like, an hour late for his appointment, and Zach, again, is someone who is 20 minutes early for all appointments, like, so he's just shitting himself.
Oh my
And so we
god.
finally get to this place, I'm like, "It's gonna be fine, they're gonna take us, it's all gonna be fine." And so they did, we finally found the Canadian Embassy, they went in, there was no one there, so we got in even though we were late. And then we got his passport, temporary, but it was gonna be ready in, like, 2 days, so then we had to stay in that city for 2 extra days, and then we couldn't really go back on the day that we were supposed to because that's when we just, like, have big recording days and, like, a big work day, so we ended up having to stay in the city for 4 days. It's cold, it's, like, raining, it's not on
You're
a
paying
beach
for an
town.
Airbnb that
We're
you
on top of our other Airbnb, and we're pretty much just living our life, like, we're not enjoying it at all at this point, we're just, like, working, we go to this gym, we're eating out for every single meal, like, ordering, and everything is, like, super overpriced in this city as well, and so it was just, like, we're like, "We wanna go home, we're just so over this." And so, that's when we kinda decided that we were gonna go home, and also we this is another part, so we go to the mall because Zach needs to get a phone because all of his work stuff is on his phone and everything is two-factor authentication, and so he can't get onto any of his work apps or anything because everything is being sent to his other phone number, and so he wants to get a phone so he can get the SIM of his old phone into this phone so he can get everything. So we go to the mall, he buys, like, a $600 phone, and then we call Rogers the next day, and turns out Rogers won't give him his SIM over the phone or through email or anything because of, like, privacy things. So they're like, "We can't till you get home and come into a store." And so Zach has no phone. So at that point, we are like, "Okay, well, you can't really, like, do nothing for 10 more days when we, like, just hired a new employee that he manages and everything like that." So we decided we were gonna go home, and then we go back to the beach town, and of course, the weather for the next, like, 2 days, our last 2 days is, like, amazing, it's so beautiful, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna go home," and then it was but at that point, like, our flights were booked, and in all honesty, like, we had to because Zach literally couldn't work. But it was, like, on the final day I was like, "Well, let's go do, like, one last, like, little photo shoot. I wanna get some, like, video content on the beach because we didn't do anything because we were there for a week, we worked, and then that was our first weekend where we, like, had nothing planned and we were gonna hang out is when our bag got stolen, like, on the Saturday at 8 AM, so we did nothing that day because we had nothing, and then the next day we had to drive to the city, so we didn't even have, like, one day where we, like, went out and explored, which is just,
so
like,
you
so
literally,
sad.
like, were living a more stressful life just in Costa
Oh,
Rica.
I know. It was, like, the worst thing ever, and then on that final day, I was like, "Well, let's just go to the beach, we'll get more some pictures and more videos," and then we, like, walk, like, 20 minutes to this really dope, like, rock, and then Zach turns on the camera and it's dead,
No.
and I'm just
Didn't
like
hear that part, yeah.
I don't think I told that, and I literally was like and then he, like, starts I'm like, "We'll just take a couple pictures of me on the phone." But the lighting was shit. I, like, looked fat, and I'm just like and then I, like, started crying, and that's when I, like, lost it, and I was, like, processing it because up until that point, I was just trying to keep Zach, like, on
Yeah,
his
like, that was your time to,
yeah,
like
and then that was, like, our final day, and it was so nice, and then I'm just like, "I have no content, it was such a waste of a trip," just because even just going on a trip takes so much time, planning, money, and so not even getting to enjoy it and wasting it during a month where it's like, okay, October is like, it's not that cold here. It's not that shitty yet. You know, you don't really need a vacation yet. Like summer just ended. So it was just, like, everything, and I was just like, "I'm so fucking annoyed," and then also processing because you guys know this, I think, but the whole reason why we went there is because we were hoping to move come January, and then we pretty much decided when we were there that we don't think we're going to anymore. We might go in, like, a year and we might build, but we did look at, like, a couple houses while we were there, and we, like, talked to lawyers and the bank and stuff, and it ended up being way more expensive than we thought we were going to, and we just aren't really in a place where we can afford what we want, and selfishly, I was only really gonna move if we could get, like, a really nice dope house, and we just found out a lot of things, and, like, a lot of things are changing with, like, the government and the taxes, and that was a huge incentive for us to go was to save money on the taxes, and so when we found out that wasn't really gonna happen anymore, so and then we also had, like, the worst trip ever, so it wasn't like we're in this bliss, like, "Let's move." It was like, "I fucking
Mhm.
hate it here. Get me out of here." So we kinda were deciding that. So I think everything just hit me and I just, like, started crying, and it was really sad, and I was just, like, processing it all, and I'm like, "This is so fucking annoying." I was so annoyed. So I had my little 20 minutes, and I felt bad for Zach. She's like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "Well, it's not your fault, but if you ever put your
I
passport in
would
your
have
fucking
freaking
bag again."
lost it, like,
Ugh. So it's been a little bit so we flew home the next day, and then yeah, it's honestly just been, like, processing it, and I've been a little bit, like, quiet, I would say, even around Zach. He's like, "What's wrong?" But literally for the past year, I thought we were gonna be moving, so there's a lot of things I didn't do in my personal life because I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna wait till we move," or, "I don't wanna buy that," or, "I don't wanna, like, decorate our master bedroom because we're moving." Like, there's just so many things, and it was annoying because, like, prior to buying this house, I felt like my whole 20s and then, like, 3 years of my 30s, I that was a story I told myself. I was like, "Well, just wait till you have your own house. Like, just wait till you find a man. Just wait." And so I've just, like, never spent money on, like, my home environment, and then it's like we were finally getting into it, and we were, like, starting to make it cute, and then we're like, "We're moving." So I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get my wedding pictures developed. I'm not gonna buy a sauna. I'm not gonna do all of these things." And now it's like we're not going, and I'm like,
let's
1
do it.
I know, I know. But the
It's
other thing
time.
is we don't have any money right now, so we can't. But it's just been such, like, a pull back and forth because I have, like, such high self-integrity where it, like, kills me and, like, I do not like to be the person that says I'm gonna do something and then not do it, and it's, like, hurt me in the past because I'm also a people pleaser, so I just say I'm gonna do everything, and then I actually have to follow through because I'm not someone that's gonna, like, cancel last minute. And so, 1, it's just, like, processing that, and so it's like I don't wanna feel excited about, like, doing the things, and I don't wanna, like, fully commit to it yet because 'cause I'm like it's just, like, a weird place to be, but it's been a lot, and I'm just, like, slowly processing it all, but
I know it's hard because you've been like, that's what you've been telling yourself and telling people, and you were gonna do it, like Lacey and I were saying, like, obviously, I'm, like, happy if she's here 'cause she's closer to me, but at the end of the day, like, I knew if anyone was gonna do it, it's you, but probably a big part of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is just, like, when you tell that many people and then it's like, "Okay, now I'm not doing it, but you guys don't understand why I'm not doing it. It's not because I just chickened out, it's because, like, all of these things happened and I still would have done it." Like,
well, and
so
it's just
hard.
too because I also have such this mindset, and I just know, like, I just think the universe, like, puts out tests for you to see how much you want it, and it was like I think I told the story on here when me and Zach first found out that it wasn't smart for us to sell our house now, which was the original plan. We are gonna sell everything, so we are gonna have that chunk of change from our house. So that was, like, the first obstacle, and me and Zach immediately were like, "We're not going." Like, we pulled back immediately. One thing went wrong, and then we kinda, like, sat down. We're like, "No, we really want this. Like, these are all the benefits." And then we go there and it's like the worst trip ever and all of these things happen. So there's part of my brain that's like, well, is this just like
It's a
the final
sign.
thing that you have to push through and then you're gonna like level up and your life's gonna get so much better? And so there's also that like voice, and I'm just like,
I
no.
know, it's funny because it's both. It's like, "Okay, is this a test or is it a sign?" Like, "'Kay,
I know.
stop what you're doing. This is not where you're meant to be. Like, let's pull the
So
brakes a little bit." It's hard.
so it is hard. So we might look into like buying because it is way cheaper to like buy land and build. So we might go that route and like, but probably not for like at least a year. And who knows if we'll even do that because everything just like changes so quickly. But
Well, and, like, I just think obviously you can't do it now, but, like, I love your house. I love your neighborhood so much. Like, if I were you, I would just make that my little sanctuary, even if you, because it's just gonna increase the value of your home, you know what I mean? And so even if you, like, just don't have that mindset, like, we might be going and just really, like,
No, and that's what
make
I
that
told
your
Zach. I'm
place.
like, "If it happens, but I'm not." I'm like, "If we're gonna stay, like, I'm doing what I wanna do for the next year," and that's the other thing too is, like, it's not like we hate our life in Kelowna. Like, we fucking love it. We love this
Mhm.
we're right by the mountain in the winter. We love the summers here. I love my house. I love my neighborhood. I like, everything is amazing, so it's not like we were, like, running away. It was
It's not
strictly
like you're
just
living
to
in, like, the middle of butt-fuck
no,
nowhere,
we, like, have
Alberta,
a great
like
life. It's like we
yeah.
just we were hoping to save a little money and have a better quality of life. Obviously, being in the sun is what I do want, but it's not like our life is shitty here. So, anyways, so that's the
Yeah.
story. And I think the Costa Rican dream is done for now.
For
But
now.
we'll see. And we might like go for 3 months in the winters or something like that, figure something out where we can kind of still live that life before our kids are in school. It's pretty much we have like till then to kind of play that hippie
I know,
lifestyle.
I'm like,
So
"Let's just go for 3 months," like
I know. So it'll be fine. We'll be fine, but my friend Megan is going, which I feel really bad about because her husband works in camp and she's only going to be there for like a week out of the month. So she's going for sure from like January to April and they'll probably stay the full year because her daughter's in school. Will be going to school there and they like have to commit to the year. So she's a little bit sad that she's going to be lonely now, but she's got to do what's best for you at the end of the day. So I think
well,
this
yeah,
is
I'm like,
best
"Let's
for
go
us.
in
And
March, we'll go visit," and
yeah,
yeah, like, you if you were to make that decision for her, then it would just be, like,
yeah,
obviously crazy,
no.
but
So, anyways, bloating. Hey, let's get into it.
bloating. That was a good intro, I wish Kira was here. But yeah, I think you're actually starting off, so
Yeah.
tell
Okay.
me
So
about
let's get
why
into it.
we're
And
bloated.
yeah, I'm excited to talk about bloating. Bloating is something that I struggled with, you guys. Oh my God, so bad. Like, I can remember growing up and always looking 6 months pregnant. And even at one point, like my profile picture was me and my ex boyfriend, and his hand was on my stomach, and my stomach was pushed way out because I literally could look pregnant, like 7 months pregnant at any given moment. And it was like my little party trick. And then I can remember being in like bodybuilding and I'd be so lean and I would just always complain about like how bloated I felt. And it was just like, I hated it. And so I definitely like resonate with this. And my bloating has pretty much been non existence for the last like 2 years. I think it's been since I started my healing journey on that level. And so definitely can get to the bottom of it. It's definitely not normal. You don't have to feel like it. I think even the internet went through this little phase of like bloating is normal and it's okay to be bloated, and it's definitely not. I mean, obviously, by the end of the day, you have a full fooded stomach, a little bit of bloating, a little bit of bloating, and it's not even really bloating. It's just you have food in your stomach that you didn't in the morning is normal. But other than that, definitely not something you have to live with. And there's kind of like different layers to bloating. And so I'm going to just kind of talk through more of why you're bloated, but more of like lifestyle factors that you can kind of quickly change and adapt. And this is kind of where you should focus first if you do feel bloated. Like step number one is not to invest into like expensive gut tests. It's like, let's check these lifestyle factors off. And because they are so often overlooked and they make a huge, huge difference. So, the first one is just chewing and distractions when you're eating. So many of us, it's become so normal just to rush through our meals. We're barely chewing. We're eating in front of a screen. We don't even really pay attention to what we're doing or what we're eating. Half the time, we're like, just, especially men, but it's just like you're shoveling food in. You're almost trying to finish fast. You're yelling at your kids or you're trying to do something else, you're answering work emails, or you're not even stepping away from your desk at lunch. Like we're just not taking time to actually eat. And there is a lot of stuff that goes on that helps support our digestion when we do take the time. So, yeah, pretty much when we do take the time, that does stop, or when we're just rushing, it does stop like proper stomach acid and just enzyme release. That helps break down and helps you absorb those foods. So, it's very easy to just be bloated. So, it's like, okay, if you're feeling bloated, let's start to chew our food. It should be applesauce consistency. Everyone kind of says like 30 bites, which is a lot, and not all food I don't think needs to be chewed that much, but just start paying attention. Like it's a kind of like a fun little game. Just like count how many times you chew a piece of food without realizing it, and you'll realize you're probably under chewing it. And that's just such an easy thing that you can do. And then also just taking time to not be super distracted. And then fiber intake is also a huge one that we see. So, too much or too little can cause bloating. People often jump into healthy eating and they'll start eating a whole bunch of like fruits and vegetables and things like that. And they like really increase their fiber intake just overnight without giving their gut time to adjust. And obviously, we want to eat enough fiber, but fiber is something where you kind of want to be in that healthy range. You don't really want to underdo it, is worse, but you also don't want to just like overdo it, which I think a lot of women, when you're trying to eat like lower calories or you're really aware of what you're eating and you're eating a lot of those like high volume, low calorie foods, they also do tend to be higher in fiber. So it's just something to pay attention to. But most people are probably more on the side of under eating fiber. So just starting to pay attention, maybe tracking your food for a couple days or just reading the label is going to be good. And then dehydration is a huge one as well. So constipation or just slowed motility from not drinking enough water, especially if minerals are off, is going to keep gas in food just moving slower. So you will feel bloated. And then last but not, or there's two more. So processed foods. A lot of the times, ultra processed foods, they just contains like gums, additives, oils that disrupt digestion and gut bacteria. And I think again, too, like our bodies are not at the same level as our food industry, and so, like, our bodies are not used to all of these random foods that people have created that are ultra processed, and so it's kinda like foreign territory, and so you eat these and they're like, "What is it? Is this food? I don't even know what she's eating right now," so it does lead to gas and bloating, so that is something to be aware of, and then also, last but not least, is your circadian rhythm. So, eating late at night or skipping consistent meal times throws off your digestive hormones, and your gut literally has its own clock that affects motility and enzyme production. So, again, just paying attention to that. If you're eating super late or not eating when you wake up or whatever, that is gonna mess and cause bloating, and we didn't really say this, but we are gonna go into ways that you can decrease bloating at the end. So stay tuned for that. But yeah,
Yeah, I always find the circadian rhythm part is something that's like so overlooked, but it plays such a big role once you start really paying attention to it and even also chewing your food. Like yesterday at lunch, I had no time to eat. And so I was like literally shoving down food down my throat. And I haven't done that in so long. And I just remember I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. And you're also not going to feel more full. And then you end up eating more. Like there's so many things. But
yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. I want you to do that trend with Zach where it's like, you're, like, trying to keep up with them, like, eating, like, you
Oh,
have the
yeah.
same meal, and,
I
like, they
should
don't realize they're eating, like, 1 burger in 1 bite.
so
It's so
fast.
funny.
No, it's I because I can even catch myself when I'm a little bit more, like, anxious or I'm
Yeah.
rushed, and I, like, notice it, and I think too, if I get really hungry, it's like you have this thought that, like, if you eat faster, you're gonna, like, get full faster, which is actually not really how it works, it's kinda the
Mhm.
opposite, and so I'll just, like in those moments, I'll really try to, like, "Take a deep breath, Lacey, calm down," because you kinda just know after you know as much as we do, it's like there's not really much point in eating because 'cause you're not gonna absorb anything, but
Yeah,
anyways.
it's always, like, at the end of a long day when you go to eat with friends and you're at a restaurant and you're just, like, shoveling food down your throat and everyone's not talking, it's like, "Okay, let's take a moment." But I'm gonna go over just, like, a couple more kind of, like, elaborating more on what Lacey talked about, more some, like, internal drivers that might be causing it. So, we talked a little bit about, like, hydration and minerals kind of go with that. When we talk about hydration, it's not just, like, slamming tap water, it's the actual components of the water that really matter. And so when we have specifically low sodium and potassium and magnesium can really impact our, like, stomach acid, motility, and our fluid balance, and so it's really, really important that we have proper like a good mineral status. And so obviously with like the HTMA that we talk about a lot, if we see someone that deals with a lot of bloating or just like irregular stools, when we look at that, we'll often see low potassium is like a big one and then low sodium is another one. I see very few people with actually adequate levels of both of those and magnesium as well, but a lot of people are supplementing with magnesium since it's so popular. And then it's also just like when we look at different patterns on the HTMA, it can be linked to like slower metabolic function, which is going to like obviously impact our digestion, our adrenal stress, and then that lower like sodium potassium ratio, which is just going a little bit into it, can indicate like lower stomach acid. Nervous system dysregulation is a huge one. We talked about this on our nervous system episode, but when we are in that like fight or flight state, especially when we're eating, which a lot of the times we are, if you're a mom or you're on lunch break, whatever job you might have, you're just shoveling food like me yesterday down your throat as quick as you can. And when that happens, your digestion's actually going to shut off. Your blood flow is going to move away from your digestive organs. And so it's really, really common that we think that, oh, it's just like I'm just like stressed and that couldn't be impacting my bloating and it's my fiber intake. It's that I'm not drinking enough water, but you really do need to look at the state that you're in when you are eating. And then that nervous system dysregulation and being in that fight or flight can actually like lower certain bacteria, that good bacteria in our gut as well. That is going to help with digesting our food. So that's something we want to think about as
Well, and
well.
even just it's literally in the name, like, the opposite of your fight or flight response is your rest and digest. So it's a pretty
Exactly.
good indicator that that's where you want to be when you're trying to digest your food.
But people never they're like even a lot of the times with, like, check-ins and even, like, myself, we fall into that. It's like, "Okay, why am I not digesting my food? Well, what am I eating? How much water am I drinking?" But we're not thinking about, like, "Well, when did I eat my last meal? Have I been outside once today? Am I, like, super stressed out when I'm eating?" And those are a lot of the times, like, even bigger than, like, what we're actually eating. I don't wanna give water more power, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. And then just GI map gives us a lot of indication of like what could be driving bloating. There are multiple things, whether that is low commensal, so that good bacteria not breaking down food properly, it's staying in our GI tract longer. That's fermenting and then causing the bloating and the gas. Other things are H. pylori. That I don't think I've had one GI map that I've done that doesn't have some levels of H. pylori yet, and so
really.
if yeah, it's actually crazy, and some are lower than others, and most people are pretty high, and so that is going to deplete our stomach acid, and then that makes it a better, environment for other, like, pathogens and overgrowth bacteria, yeast overgrowth, etcetera, and so that also can create more of that, like, gas-producing bacteria, and so that's another big one that we see, especially with people that deal with, like, bloating. And then even just, like, higher inflammatory markers, even if you are eating clean, we see that often leading to bloating and then that inflammation showing up in other areas as well. So, just to kind of, like, summarize, it's usually a symptom of, like, imbalance, and there's things that we can do internally, but also through our habits in order to help it. And so that's where, like, we can do so many things, but if it's not getting better, we might need to like dig a little bit deeper. Is there H. pylori? Is there SIBO? Is there mineral imbalances that are causing this bloating that we need to be a little bit more specific with in our support? So yeah, now we're already kind of moving into tools, which I think we'll kind of know from what we've went over, but I'll let Lacey kind of tap back in.
Yeah, and I think I kinda said this, but I don't know if I made it really clear, but obviously, if you are super bloated, it's gonna be easiest to just start with the things that I mentioned, more of those lifestyle factors, and looking at that, and then it's like, "Okay, I'm doing all of those things and I'm still bloated. Cool, that's probably a pretty big sign that it's something to do more so with your minerals, your gut health, or whatever it may be," but you do wanna start more so with those lifestyle factors because even if it was a gut issue, those lifestyle factors are still gonna, like, play into it, make it worse, whatever it is, so even if you fix your gut, you still could be bloated because you're not chewing your food or whatever it is. So, some easy things that you can do to kind of beat the bloat is obviously kind of the opposite of what I said was causing it. So, tip number one is to chew your food. Digestion does start in the mouth. So, 20 to 30 chews per bite can make a huge, huge difference. And the nice thing about this is you should notice an improvement right away. So, it does kind of give you that immediate positive feedback loop, which is nice. And then also just getting rid of distractions while you're eating. So, sit down, get your phone away from you, try to be with your family if you have one, and don't have the TV on, and then just, like, sit down, take a couple deep breaths, like, even smelling your food and, like, showing gratitude for it, like, that warms up your digestion. It's kinda like, "Okay, food, like, we're coming, get ready," and you'll start releasing enzymes and things, so it's like, don't overlook it. It's not like a woo-woo thing to do. It actually is part of the process. And so, yeah, sit, breathe, slow down, put your phone down, give your body time to switch into that rest and digest mode
And
and
I think with
take
that one, just, like, switch into it slowly, not to cut you off, but, like,
yeah,
it's a hard thing to do, and so we, like, do it once and we, like, get rid of all of our distractions, and you're like, "Oh my god, I hate this." But, like, maybe you just have no distractions for that first part, and then maybe you put on music or you put on, like, a podcast. But, like, the big one is, like, not scrolling on your phone. Like, if you seriously have one hand on your fork, the other hand, like, has your phone, your body isn't gonna know that we're, like, eating. So,
no.
just start slow and build your way up.
Yeah, and just kinda start to, like, romanticize it, right? Like, if you are cooking or preparing your meal, like, yeah, turn on some music and, like, get your plate and make it look pretty, like, it is funny, but something that I kinda like about creating content and showing you guys what we eat so much is, like, I put more effort into, like, how my plate looks because I'm like, "I know I'm gonna take a picture of this and post it to Instagram, so I try to make it look pretty," and, like, that is all part of the process, and so, yeah, it's something to just pay attention to. And then hydrating with minerals, obviously, we always seem to fit this into every single podcast, but it's important. So, using electrolytes or more specifically the mineral drops, so trace minerals to just support digestion and fluid balance is going to be really important. And then also just trying to pay attention to not only, like, limiting your processed foods, your ultra processed foods, but also just focusing on eating real food and also having a variety, more single ingredient foods. So think about things that don't necessarily need to have an ingredient list. So it's usually that's what a whole food is. Those can often be found if you, like, shop more so on the outskirts of a grocery store. So think like fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, things like that. They don't have a laundry list of ingredients, which means it's real food, which means your body is going to know what to do with it. And then regulating your nervous system. So this can be something that can kind of be done in the moment, but also something that just needs to be kind of worked on consistently and always. So, again, like one of the easiest ways to tell your body that you're going to eat food is like, or just getting into that rest and digest is just taking a couple deep breaths. So, deep breathing, going for walks, getting sunlight, slow mornings, not rushing meals, just really focus on like grounding yourself. And then on top of that, and that kind of goes with it, is consistent circadian rhythm. So, especially now that it's friggin' dark at 4 o'clock, makes it a little bit harder, but we're not really supposed to eat, and our body doesn't really want to eat when it is dark out, so shortening that window a little bit, it is okay to, like, have your last meal around 5 o'clock once it gets dark, and then try not to eat at that nighttime because it does mess with your melatonin production, and a lot of other things, and so just making sure that you are keeping that consistent circadian rhythm. Obviously, it's harder for some people than others, but just something more so to be aware of. And something that was a huge game changer for me is going for just a 10-minute walk after each meal.
Yeah,
It's such an easy habit. You're killing so many birds with one stone. You're getting your steps in, you're supporting your digestion, you're getting outside, you're getting
blood sugar.
sunlight. Yeah, there's so many things. And so I think that has been something it was like my New Year's goal for the last 2 years to go for a 10-minute walk after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I've actually stayed very consistent with it. And obviously, there's been a lot of variables in my life that has changed that has supported my bloating. But I just have this, like, little inkling feeling that that plays a huge role, and I think because I've kind of obsessed over it, now it's, like, in my head that if I don't get to go for one, I'm like, "Oh, I just feel bloated, like, this food's just sitting in my stomach." So, it doesn't need to be a crazy 30-minute walk, I literally do, like, a 12-minute loop around my block, it could even be a 5-minute loop or even just being conscious of it, you know what I mean? If you're someone who more so goes from eating dinner to sitting on the couch and then maybe in an hour going to do the dishes and cleaning up the kitchen and stuff like that, just being more aware and maybe you go and do that right away because even just that would benefit you.
Yeah,
Um, and then kind of like the last thing that is probably the least important but will help is just supporting drainage and detox overall. Castor oil packs, dry brushing, things like that just to support better digestion, but I would focus on the other things prior to that and don't get too obsessed with just doing that because
yeah, like,
a
those
lot of
are
times easier.
supplementary, but they can definitely help, but
Oh, yeah,
once again,
huge.
if you're not doing the other things, then it's not gonna work. A couple other things we forgot to talk about, not chugging water before you eat while you're eating and after. We've talked about that on a lot of episodes, but it does make a big difference. We want our stomach acid to be super robust while we're eating. And I had one more. Oh, is not snacking all day long. I think makes such a big difference. It doesn't mean you can't have any snacks, but if you're constantly just picking at foods throughout the day and not having like your three main meals with like your fiber, your healthy fat, your carbohydrate, then your digestion doesn't like your body doesn't get a chance to fully digest all of the food that's in your GI tract. And so it's constantly kind of like playing catch up. And so that has been a big one for me as well, I feel like. But I think that's basically it.
Yeah, that's basically it. So there's some tools that you guys can do. And if you do all the lifestyle things and you're still bloated, well, you know where to find us.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go to a naturopath, they're just going to give you a million supplements. So I would
Yes.
recommend coming here or to some, doesn't even have to be us, but just be mindful about the naturopath route. 'Cause some people are so dead set on that. And we just hear more and more people not having the best experience in terms of actual lifestyle implementation.
Yeah. A lot of the times we are the people who people come to after they see a naturopath and spend thousands of dollars. So if you feel like saving
Yeah,
that money, shameless plug for the program.
exactly. Okay,
um,
well, is that anything else
no, I was
in
just going to
closing?
add that it's usually not about individual foods. You know what I mean? Notice we didn't say, like, you need to cut out this and cut out this. Of course, sometimes that can be the issue, but it's not a lot of the times. There's usually a deeper rooted problem. So just remind yourself of that. But
I know I was gonna ask you, do you think cutting out gluten for you made a big difference in your bloating, or did you more notice that in, like, your psoriasis, like, autoimmune?
I think for me, that was more the psoriasis because that's why I struggled so hard to cut it out because I noticed 0 difference in the way that I, like, felt. But I think then it's kinda hard well, it's not hard with gluten, but a lot of the things with gluten too is, like, it's always in, like, ultra processed foods as well, so it's like, is it just a
I know.
combination of that? But I also notice just inflammation in general when I don't eat gluten is down, but not really anything with bloating, no, I don't, like, get super bloated from gluten.
Gluten, yeah, I'm the same. Like, if I have a big bowl of pasta,
Yeah,
yes, but I feel like that's more just, like, heavy
yeah.
food, but I would agree, it's more like inflammation I've seen go down rather than, like, actual bloating after meals. Like, if I were to have, like, a piece of bread, I wouldn't be, like, blow up like a balloon, but
No, no, which it does do that for some people, I think everyone is kinda different with gluten, but gluten is just so inflammatory, you guys, and it's like, I think
especially
everyone just
gluten here.
yeah, and just try cutting it out for a month and see if you notice a difference, and if you don't notice anything, by all means, go back, but it's yeah, I think if I, like, had to
Like,
tell
give it an
people
actual shot for, like, a month or
yeah,
2, really actually cut it out.
because even Kira talks a lot about how much, like, her mental health gets impacted when she eats gluten, and she has, like, a weird wrist she gets,
Yeah,
like,
her
wrist
bones.
pain and stuff, like, her it's yeah, like but that's inflammation, right? It, like, leads to, like, painful in her wrist and in her elbow and stuff, and so everyone is just very different, but I think that's, like, an easy culprit to a lot of things that it's like, if you are dealing with a bunch of stuff, just, like, cut out gluten and see if you feel better, and like I said, like, a byproduct of cutting out gluten is you do cut out a whole bunch of ultra-processed foods, and you, like, have to say no to a lot of, like, the convenient, good
Cake
f you
and
know,
blah, blah,
like,
blah.
people bring donuts or, the everyone orders, like, late night pizza, and it's, like, food that you don't really need, but every you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah,
you get to
can
exercise
help
that
sometimes.
boundary of saying no, and it's good, and I just feel way better when I don't eat it, so
It's the same.
just don't, but it doesn't really impact my bloating.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you're still here, you know the drill. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the bell to have the reminders when we come out. And then if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, make sure you click on auto download, listen every week, every Wednesday, leave a review, all of that good stuff. Share it with one friend that you think would benefit that's always complaining about her bloating and come back next week.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.